I reckon most people, most days, ask themselves, am I on the right path?
He was talking to himself as if he had an imaginary friend. Is this because he doesn't have any siblings?
When was the last time you had the feeling of awe?
I felt like so deep in that moment.
You have a very, very lovely relationship with your sibling.
I genuinely thought that we would never be a complete family again. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is that weird? Have I done that on the pod before?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite regularly.
Not regular enough. I've told you before that I love it when you do that.
So now I do it with Leo, and I go down and up with my finger when we're singing it, like I'm a music instructor.
Orchestra? No, what's a conductor?
A conductor.
Conductor, yeah.
A bus conductor? Wait, is it a conductor?
Yeah, it's a conductor, isn't it?
Okay.
Orchestra conductor.
Do you know what's funny? Is on the weekend we found ourselves watching Songs of Praise when they were singing Morning Has Broken.
No, you flicked it on and you just so happened to land on your favourite song.
Yeah.
That was nice.
It's also a slightly scarring song because it's the song that I auditioned to
for the school choir,
for junior choral at school, and all my friends got in. And when I went over, shuffled over, the hustle and bustle of people like pushing all the girls to try and see the sheet that was on the wall with all of the names.
Weren't on there, were you?
Scanning down. I wasn't on there. They all got to go on a trip to Venice. And I was left out, so...
Didn't have the pipes for it, did you?
I've definitely not got pipes.
I think my brother was told to mime in the choir. No, not even in the choir, sorry. Just in chapel service every morning. He was told to mime, he was that bad.
Which one, Adam or Gareth?
Adam, yeah.
I feel like we're at an age now where it's actually cool to sing really loudly. So if you go to a wedding or a Christmas carol concert, like the louder the better.
Yeah, I'm just not that guy. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Why do you go coy in that scenario?
It's not that unusual to go coy in that scenario, by the way.
Like at my cousin's daughter's christening was probably the last time we were in a church.
Yeah.
You know what that's reminding me of?
What?
Well, I was thinking about groups of coy people, and then it made me think of your birthday, which we had. Firstly, it's really tough having a birthday on a Monday. So basically, Ryan had a birthday, and it was a bit of a flop.
No, it wasn't a flop.
No, it was a flop. We had to have a counselling session about it afterwards.
No.
Like we literally sought counsel in the bedroom. We had to sit down and talk about why it wasn't the birthday of your dreams.
It was fine. It was low key. Also we were a group of 13, of which 7 were kids.
It was pretty ad hoc, wasn't it? We didn't organise a lot. We were supposed to have this sort of lunch meeting on the weekend, meeting a set of our friends' parents to talk about quite serious stuff. And then we just threw in a few members of family. No, we were going for like a nice lunch, weren't we? And then it turned into a bit of a mishmash because we had your family come, which was nice and gorge and how a birthday should be. But then there was a couple without any kids, and it was just a slightly weird mixture of people.
I think we should step away from the topic of my birthday because I actually had a great time. And I was aware that it was a little bit of a one-dimensional dynamic with the personalities, but that's all right. Where I'm at in life, that's all right. And like I said, there was 7 kids there. And when you've got that many kids, and a few of them are brand new, as in like 4 or 5 weeks old, you have to accept that it's not going to be a raucous event. So you know what? And actually, there was a magic moment within that weekend where my mum surprised me, and that was incredible because she's never lied to me before, and she lied to me about that. She was like, "I can't make it. I feel a bit unwell. It's a long journey." I was like, "That's all fair enough, actually." And then she frigging showed up.
Normally I put in a huge amount of effort for your birthday and we planned something really special, and I just feel as though I was a bit disorganized with it. So I'll take the brunt of that one. And also I'm not particularly good at hosting in that environment where, a sit-down meal is one thing. Like there's a waiter, they come over, they serve you food. There's like a bit of a playbook, isn't there? Mm-hmm. For how a meal goes. People know that they can arrive, they have a drink at the bar first, you sit down, you have good conversation, you're sandwiched between people. This was just like a bit of a free-for-all. And I think I learned a lot of lessons from it, is that like I need to go and get loads of drinks from the bar at the beginning and like set up a bit of a station and make a plan. And I think it's just like one of life's lessons.
Don't worry, you'll get another shot
Next year. Good year.
My 36 people is going to be off the chain.
This episode of He Said, She Said is brought to you by Diet Coke. I love this campaign that Diet Coke are currently running. It's all about making little moments in your day that are just for you.
Love that. It's so important, isn't it?
I know we talk about it quite a lot, don't we? I think as parents, it's quite hard to carve out time just for yourself without feeling guilty, but it's so important to do it anyway. For me, it really looks like just finding like a little bit of space on the sofa with a book and a nice ice cold Diet Coke.
And for me, it might be that I go out for a solo walk, put my headphones in and just have a nice Diet Coke in hand with no emails.
Exactly. That is your taste. And now Diet Coke are encouraging everyone to take those breaks and to own them.
You can also design your own Diet Coke in a way that's unique to you. You just scan the QR code on the can, head to the Coke app and make it your own.
You can also win prizes. There's cash, there's Jamie Dornan merch and lots more. Terms and conditions apply.
This is our taste. What's yours? I would really like to get to a place where we can start having conversations that are kind of led by our feelings. And they don't always have to be good feelings. They can be a mixture of bad or good. But I guess I want to ask you some questions which might tap into that a little bit. And I guess you don't even have to be prepared or overthink it. So what in recent weeks or days has given you like a strong feeling? And like I say, it can be an uncomfortable feeling or a happy feeling. Just think of the array of emotions. Because I think if we collectively as parents, I think we've had a lot of moments where we're like, it's like this wild collision of emotions, which, well, I can answer the same question, but let's start with you.
The first thing that's popping into my head is that I feel like I'm someone that feels so deeply. Oh. And actually, I've felt such a wide variety of emotions in this last week.
Okay.
I felt anxious, I felt proud, I felt sad, and I felt a lot of joy as well.
You've been on a roller coaster.
Gosh, am I listing off all of what are the emotions in Inside Out?
Pretty much those, yeah.
Pretty much those. Joy is the key one.
Yeah.
So
roller coaster week then.
Roller coaster week. Actually, something that has popped into my head. I had a call with the production company and it was to discuss a potential TV show that's being pitched, and it's around inflammatory bowel diseases. And I felt like I was slightly unprepared actually for the meeting because just juggling a lot of stuff. Jumped onto the call, I hadn't been sent a lot of information before the call actually. So I was almost feeling like a little bit dismissive, like, oh, is this going to be a good use of my time? Because I've had quite a few, if I'm really honest, I've had quite a few meetings with production companies over the last few years, really wanting to get a TV project off the ground, either surrounding birth trauma or inflammatory bowel diseases. And a lot of them have felt like a waste of time because there's been no follow-up or people have left. And so I was a little bit judgmental. Anyway, jumped on this call and had a really, really beautiful, open conversation with two people who both had their own experiences with an IBD. The guy's wife has struggles with Crohn's and colitis, and one of the and the girl who was on the call, woman should I say, has actually had a stoma bag for 25 years and she's not told anybody. And I don't know why it's going to make me cry on the call on the pod now. But I felt like so deep in that moment. I felt so, I don't know, it was just, I felt so connected to her because her vulnerability was just so beautiful. Like, and I also just felt really sad for her that she hasn't got to a place where she can share that news with people.
Was she a person or was she a producer on this potential show?
A producer on the potential show, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was obviously like a big passion project for her.
Right.
I don't obviously want to give away too much information about her because I shouldn't be the one to then announce that she has has a stoma, so I need to be mindful of that. But that was really,
That's
I guess, an example of how you can like jump into an example of how our worlds are quite weird, because every day you face so many different conversations with people that can go in any direction. I think then to make it to go in a direction that more people will relate to, I had a moment where I was in the kitchen over the weekend and I turned around. Oh, why is that making me like, I shouldn't feel sad. I felt like it was really cute, but I saw like Leo on his bike. I don't want to cry. Like, I really want to steer away from this like crybaby reputation. But I saw Leo on his bike, like perched up against a wall, and he was talking to himself as if he had an imaginary friend. And it was such a beautiful moment. Again, I guess Leo's our only child, so we're still first-time parents and we're navigating all of those milestones for the first time. And you don't really know what to expect when you only have one child. You have nothing to compare it to. So I didn't know whether that was normal, but actually one of the ladies that I worked with quite closely on my book, she had 2 children who were in the next phase, if you like. They were a little bit older, they were at school. And her daughter had an imaginary friend. You will not believe what the imaginary friend was called. It was called Cunty. And she couldn't find an appropriate way to explain what that word was.
Oh my God.
And it was something that when I was talking, about going through the really hard, like grievous process of writing the book, we would talk about that, and it would bring a little bit of light to the shade of the subject matter of the book. But so I guess that's what I'm trying to do here, because now I don't want to get super upset about this. But I never thought that Leo would have an imaginary friend. And he was having this conversation he was asking his friend whether they had a bike and a tractor. And it was just so sweet. And it made me fall in love with him so much. But I guess equally, and probably one of the reasons why it's jerking tears, is because I guess for a second I thought, oh God, is this because he doesn't have any siblings? And you just don't know. You just don't know what's normal, really. But actually, I shared a little bit of it on my social media just because I found it so sweet. And I really did not want him to see that I was filming it either, because I did not want to kill his vibe. And I didn't want to feel like such a voyeur. And I've become a lot more mindful about, social media around Leo lately, for a reason I can talk about in a bit. But yeah, I just captured this really sweet moment. A lady got in touch with me and she said, a child having an imaginary friend is a sign of intelligence. And immediately I thought, okay, we're good. We've got nothing to worry about here.
Well, I think that's a really good example of how a really powerful feeling has hit you this week. But there'll be so many people who can connect with that story as well. Both stories, in fact. Being around someone who's perhaps suffering with some kind of medical condition which isn't too far removed from, maybe their own situation or people, family, friends they know. And Leo's example, seeing him in his own little imaginary, fantastical realm that he's currently in, I think that's very normal for kids. I'm pretty sure I had imaginary friends.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because I don't remember ever having an imaginary friend.
And it's interesting that you sort of had a slightly different lens in that moment where you thought you maybe felt guilt at the same time because you were like, oh, he hasn't got his brother or sister. And I think that's probably more of a reflection of your feelings versus Leo's reality in that moment.
Yeah, because actually he doesn't know any better.
No, he's got obviously friends and he's got his cousins and he's got his playmates and whatever else. But ultimately he knows that we're a family of, I was going to say 3, but he never leaves out Koji and Toto in conversation.
Yeah, we are a family of 5.
He doesn't know any different right now. But it's to like really get on the same level of you with this conversation. I've had many moments like this where I'm just completely stopped in my tracks because I've just caught a glimmer of something that's happening in Leo's world. And it's made me feel very reflective, and it really sits on me in a deep, heavy way. And that's not meant to sound sad, but it's such a powerful feeling. And I think I've become increasingly aware of these moments, and feel it much more than I ever did. And I've been speaking to some friends about it in recent days and recent weeks. And I think what I'm trying to get at is that when you really, stop to notice these moments and let your heart feel what it wants to feel, and your soul kind of sing with happiness, those are the moments that make not just parenthood, but life. I think those are the moments that really piece it all together and give you that sense of purpose is the wrong word, but maybe fulfillment. And I think I don't know when I feel like there's been something that's changed in my world in recent months where I just have a very different lens on, and I look at things so differently. And I'm really searching for the sort of deeper meaning behind things.
Isn't that such a nice feeling?
It is actually, yeah. Do
you know what I had? Do you remember, actually, not to take it back to your birthday, but I feel in a similar spot to you. I took a call when I was away in Windsor with a total stranger, with this lady who is in her 70s, to talk about something business related. Something within that moment lit up inside me, where I felt like I had almost like an epiphany. It was a feeling that I'd never felt before, and it was like I'd unlocked this new cheat code. Mm-hmm. And I think it's one of the gifts of trauma. Basically, I pushed myself to do something that felt very out of my comfort zone. I've never been particularly good at talking to adults, people that are older than me, having serious, sensible conversations because of this imposter syndrome that I've lived with for so much of my life. And I broke free from the shackles of that cage. And on that call. And I had this call, and you very kindly took Leo out when I took that call because I couldn't have been distracted. I needed to be in the right headspace. And I was very, very nervous in the build up to this call. And I spoke to this woman, and I was so honest, and I was so myself. I didn't need to act. I didn't need to pretend that I was anybody else, that I was smarter than myself, that I knew any more than I did about the business stuff that we were talking about. And I learned from her. And I said, I'm really enjoying this conversation because there's so much that I can learn from you, and I'm looking for mentors at this stage in my life. And afterwards, I had this weird feeling as though I had this burning oracle inside me. It was this sort of this soul, this ball of energy.
That's great.
And I felt so good. And afterwards, I was reveling in it. And I remember I came and joined you and Leo then, and you guys were having a juice over in the kind of living area, which is funny because that's where Drake had slept a few nights before. Yeah. But I came over and I just felt like I was floating. I felt whimsical, like this fairy, and I kind of breezed over, and I was just happy to sit in silence for half an hour and just really think about what had just happened.
But for so many years, and this phone call, we don't need to go into the detail, but it was about property development and investment and all that sort of stuff. I've always known that was your calling. I've seen you operate in these conversations and these searches online, and I see how into just property in general that you are. That is one of those moments, and like you say, you felt like you had an orb or this ball of energy that was lighting you up from the inside out. Those are the moments that I think reassure us, or even offer a signal to us that that's the path that we're meant to be on. I'm pretty sure that I reckon most people, most days, ask themselves, am I on the right path? And when you have moments like that, which are quite far and few between, but when they happen, they're so powerful, and it kind of lifts you. You feel like you're hovering, almost like elevating in the air.
Yeah, have you had that too?
I had it yesterday.
Yes. Oh my God.
Which I'll get to in a minute, but this is why I like to talk about what we're talking about, because you've just not discovered it, you knew it already, but you're reliving it, and it's reconfirming in your mind, you're right, that is where I'm supposed to be moving towards.
Do you know how lucky we are to feel like this?
Yes.
Right now, to feel like we're having these moments where we're levitating.
Can I ask you a question? When was the last time you had the feeling of awe? When you were goosebumps and in awe? When was the last time you had that feeling?
I have it like quite regularly.
Do you?
So Louisa came back from her lunch break and made a comment about the suffering that's going on in Palestine at the moment, which is all over social media. It kind of got us into a conversation which we've never had before, because we're always pretty light and frothy. Like, we talk about like very girly stuff where, you know, she's slightly more Gen Z than I am, but we just talk about like fashion and food and silly stuff and boys and relationships and just like the easy stuff. And it broke a bit of a wall, and I don't know a huge amount about this topic, so I'm not going to go into it in loads of detail on this podcast, but I'd remembered a conversation that I'd had with Harriet Churchwood, who I love, who has helped with some of the interior stuff in the house, would highly recommend. She's actually working on building up her business now that her daughter's gone to school. But I remember having a really, really inspiring conversation with Harriet when she was educating me about what was going on in Gaza. And I said to her, I was like, you know what, if you want to learn a bit more about this, you should reach out to Harriet, because she does a lot with regards to sending aid over there, like on a really personal, like grassroots level. As in, she works like very closely with people that are literally going over there and doing good. And we're obviously so far removed from everything that's going on over there, so it's very hard to actually make an impact. But I felt really like I got shivers then in that moment, because I felt like, that felt like one of those moments where things just aligned. Mm-hmm. And I felt like I was about to encourage someone to educate themselves on something which I think is of interest to them. I don't know. It was just actually more, there's quite a beautiful thing in connecting people with other people over common interests. And that was a moment that I had which did that. And that was really nice. That's super random. I didn't think that I would mention that today.
No, it's not that random.
But I actually get shivers like quite regularly at the moment. And I feel like I can tell that you're in a really good spot at the moment. And you were in those like in that shivery moment. And you had a moment yesterday when you came home from work. Well, you'd worked in the office, and I think that that's putting you in such an amazing headspace as it is. But you also had a really, really fantastic conversation with somebody.
I much like your conversation, who is maybe like a mentor kind of person to you. I had the same experience, and I remember it was scheduled to be an hour. I think we were more like 2 hours, and it was just a reflection of how organic the conversation was, and it came about in a very organic way as well. And it was genuine, and nothing was forced about it. I wasn't trying to be too nosy on my questions. It was all very relevant and very a true reflection of where I'm at with my own journey with this children's book. So I was speaking to a really established and successful author, and
called Rachel Bright.
Who
we've mentioned a few times in the podcast before.
And in summary, after that call, I just, like you, I just felt so reassured and calm in the deepest parts of me. And I was like, this really is where I want to be going with my life. I want to be like Rachel Bright, standing in her sort of studio office space. And it was just incredible, because I was looking at this woman, and there's a bookshelf behind her in shot on this Zoom call. And, these small spines of books just stacked up on the bookshelf. And she's surrounded by, easels and flip charts with papers. And she was surrounded by her own work that just looked, as we all know, just amazing finished articles. But it was just, I was viewing it as like, I'm looking at your legacy there. And her children are running in and out of the room. And it was all just very wholesome and very fulfilling and massively inspiring. And I needed that call, not even for the insight into sort of the process and the things to look out for with regards to agents, publishers, marketing, all that sort of stuff. I needed that connection with someone like her to signal to me that this is where I want to be going. And it was bloody powerful.
Why I think that we're both feeling like this about these various projects is because, and I don't think this is even an intentional thing, But I think it's because these are projects that are set out of inspiration versus desperation.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we've done to cause this shift, but I feel so much less panicked in my work at the moment. I feel confident that I'm on the right path. I feel confident that you're on the right path. I feel like we're not being grabby. I don't feel greedy. I don't feel like I need that money and I need that brand deal and I need everything. I need it all. And I need to be cannibalizing the whole marketplace. And we have to do the best on TikTok and here. And the podcast has always got to be charting. It's quite, I feel like really comfortable with where we're at. And I think part of that is having these conversations with people that have maybe before felt quite out of reach, reaching out to them, asking, and getting somewhere with it and going, okay, cool. Well, even if we're not like immediately achieving things every single day, we are learning from people that are better than us, and that there are always people that are willing to help. Like, it's really provides you with so much comfort knowing that there are many, many, many people out there that want to help you with fulfilling your dreams. And I guess actually what was a quote that somebody told me the other day, which is hilarious because it's actually a Kris Jenner quote. And it's, if the answer is no, you're asking the wrong person. And I love that because even though it's like, really silly and really simple, it encourages you to just keep asking for help.
Rachel gave me her version of that yesterday as well.
What was hers?
She was illustrating to me that even the most successful authors have been rejected so many times, to the point where they could wallpaper their office with the amount of rejection letters they've had with like rejected storyboards and concepts and ideas. It's called the slush pile.
Oh, is it? Cool.
Yeah, the slush pile is like when publishers are like, no, thank you. And they're in the slush pile. And she said one of many just velvet articulate just things that she came out with. She said, no matter how many no's you get along the way, it just leads you to the right yes. And it's a version of what you just said.
Isn't that funny though that we've both heard that in that exact same expression in the last week? That's synchronicity. That has to be synchronicity. What else did this oracle teach you? What questions did you have? A list of questions before jumping on the call, because this is such a big career moment for you to have the opportunity to do that. Were you feeling nervous beforehand?
No, I wasn't.
Because you weren't scared, because it was inspired. You weren't scared of like the rejection or having to please.
No, I think she made it very accessible and just removed the seriousness from it. So she confirmed the meeting on email. She then attached her number. I replied, gave her my number. She WhatsApped and, just confirmed on text and be like, if you're running late, just call me. It's all fine. I'm working from home, etc. It was all very soft. The entrance into it was very soft and warm and welcoming. So I didn't feel nervous. And she, like I say, she just gives this aura of someone who is very
at peace.
What you would hope is behind these books that we love to share with Leo. You would hope to find like a very lovely, like morally sound, just lovely person. She is that and more. And I could tell straight from the get-go. I said to her very early on, I was like, this is really more of a legacy thing for me. I want to do something that I can feel really proud of and, have something that I've created from my lived experience of parenthood and fatherhood and have it in the shelf at home. And if it sells, it sells. And, this is not really a motivated business venture as much as maybe some other authors. But I said it and she just drew massively closer towards the conversation. And she was like, abundance follows soul. Follow your soul. And I told her a couple of the sort of chapters and the timeline and what I wanted to get out in these books. And she was just blown away by the soul and the love and the passion behind it. So it was a really helpful call. But on the as an extension of like feelings and where you've been at this week, what have you got coming up in the next few weeks or the rest of the month? Where have you got some things happening that you look forward to? Because I know that that's important for people. Good
question. I mean, I have some like biggish things coming up. So I've got a big photo shoot for my jewelry collection that comes out at the end of this year again, which is funny because I remember talking about that in a really early episode of the podcast.
Didn't I have a poster of that?
You had a poster here, so it will have almost been a year, which is kind of cool. Feeling a little bit nervous about that. only because
You set the standard so high.
yeah, it went really well last year, and I'm just feeling a little like more aged and slightly less in shape. But I don't think it matters because I'm working with a really
Lovely.
amazing group of women. Without being too sexist, they're really like accommodating and laid back, and they celebrate women in all their glory and all their uniqueness. So actually very excited about that. And also the girls who I work with, who I love, have not experienced that setting before. So I'm really excited to take them along with me. And then like,
do you think
silly little
excitement
things.
and nervous is the same emotion?
I think it's a similar energy frequency. So when I'm excited, I get really buzzed and I start to shake. And when I'm nervous, I get buzzed and start to shake. It's the same as like if I have a cup of coffee, I feel the same as I do when I get excited or nervous. It kind of gets that, you get fire in your belly.
It brings about the same physiological response, but I think our brain tricks us, because if we're feeling a little bit like unsure, all of a sudden becomes nervous energy.
Yeah.
But if you're like feeling pretty good and like, all right, let's go, it's like excitement. But it's the same physiological stuff that's happening.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
It's an interesting
excitement
one.
around that. And I felt really excited about booking this bloody paddle court for this Friday.
Okay.
I couldn't stop talking about it all weekend. And it's funny because you and Sam, so I'm just really, is this really lame? I'm so excited to play paddle with you and my brother. And I took him for the first time. He'd played before, but not for ages. And we played with a couple of our friends. And this is really uncool, but I really wanted him to have a good experience.
It's not uncool.
Like, it meant so much to me that he like played well and was partnered with the right people. And I didn't want to stick around on his team for too long because I felt like he maybe like couldn't play as well if I was with him, and that I was going to annoy him or I was going to like intimidate him, or so I like switched it out. Because I just know how much of a fantastic sport it is, and that's why it's blowing up here. And I didn't realize, actually, I think we played with some Spanish people last week, and it's really, really big in Spain. But it's just the answer. It was born in Spain, yeah. And it's the answer if you're time strapped and you want to be social, but also you want to get your exercise in. It really is. It's like, it's a fantastic way to spend 60 or 90 minutes. And I'm always looking to like recruit people into the group. And I adore Sam. And I know that he's like out on a limb a little bit at the moment. Like, it's kind of just setting in that he's single, and I think it's a really nice way to meet new people. And I really want him to feel confident in doing it. And before, he's always been quite boundaried with his time, because work always has to come first. And if something's going to interfere with that, like, that throws him slightly off kilter. And I said to him, I was like, please, can you just commit? Like, I promise you'll love it. And I promise this is going to lead to good things for you and for other people. And it does. Like, it's entertaining. There are interesting people on other courts, and to be able to convince him to book a court then for a Friday as well feels like we did a good job. Mm-hmm. And so the cool thing as well, one of the reasons I'm really excited about Friday is because it's outdoors, and we live like in southwest London. It's very urban and we don't get outside enough. The idea of meeting up and spending a few hours together to play sport outside, it just makes me so happy. Mm-hmm. Can I just say, like, why were you and Sam so chilled about that when I'm like so excited about it?
So me and Sam went for breakfast together the week before, and I think the reason I didn't show the same level of excitement is because when I had that conversation with Sam, I discovered that he is in such a new place in his life, and it's almost like he's more accepting. He's now more aware of the sort of lifestyle that we've built for ourselves here, and he's looking at it in a very different lens, and he's like, I kind of want a bit of what you guys have got going on. And when I say acceptance, I mean like he's accepting the invitations to go and play sport together. Before, he was either too busy, or we're not good enough, or there's not enough gain for him in that situation. And something has really changed in Sam's world, because he's now so family orientated, so invested with spending time with his nephew. And the conversations that me and him have, going back to that breakfast, I can't even describe on here, and I probably won't because it's very personal, but no one would expect to see that level of conversation and the depth and meaning that it carries. So what I'm trying to say is, like, when you see him like in the kitchen be like, yeah, let's go and play paddle, you're like, in that moment you're like, shit, like what is happening, right? But I've had a very intense kind of like conversation where I'm like piecing it together, and I've arrived at this like new version of Sam almost, and his willingness to do something different, you know. And he would have clocked it, and he would also feel great about that, to see that you're excited that he's, you know, spending more time with us. Yeah. Which is obviously rolled into hopefully a family holiday at the end of this month. Which again, Sam typically would have been like, don't know about that. Now he's like super into the idea. And it excites me.
So the plan is hopefully we're going to do a cheeky mobs trip.
Yeah, but you sort of made it sound like we'll be down in Benoose, mate. But we'll be in some like quiet, tranquil golf course in the hills.
Hang on a minute.
Beautiful.
Wasn't Benoose? I love that you just called it that as if you've said that line before. Like
everyone knows Benoose, mate.
Is that what it gets called? I thought it was just like Port of Benoose.
Yeah, for you, yeah, Port of Benoose.
Isn't that where you first ever texted me when I never got that text? Weren't we both in Spain?
Yeah.
In Marbella? You were there with friends.
Yeah.
And you saw that I was there.
Yes.
And this is when I was still in a relationship.
Yeah, I was partying in Benoose and you were at Nikki Beach.
That's so funny.
Benoose.
But there was no exchange of messages, and it was ignored, I think. I think that would be gorgeous. I'd love to go away with Sam. I always say to him, you know, what we were lucky enough to get out of Greece on our family holiday is the silly fun, is the snorkeling, getting, you know, big goggle mucks, suctioning your, like, attached to your face, your salty, messy, little sunburnt face with a big ice cream and a fizzy drink and I don't know, like a bit of a dance on the beach. It's the innocent fun, and I think that Sam hasn't experienced any of that in a really long time, and he's obsessed with the ocean and animals and the fish and the sea, like snorkeling and all of that stuff. So I think it will connect him with his true self, because I do think in this industry, when you're constantly front facing and you're entertaining all the time, sometimes you slightly lose your sense of self. And I'll be really honest, you know, I have moments on a Wednesday now, which is when we record the podcast, where I get anxious and I get a bit confused and I overthink and I think, God, who do I need to be today? Do I need to impress people? Like, what am I going to talk about? And I was talking to you a bit about this morning, and I get in my head. And then actually I find some weird like trauma kind of reaction happens, and my brain actually shuts down and it turns itself off, and I just can't think straight, and then I actually can't perform at all. And I'm really happy, because right now I kind of feel like I've broken the curse. Like I feel like I've kind of actually spoken to you about that this morning. And I feel like this has been a really lovely episode, and it's felt different. And I think that Sam's in a place which is similar, where sometimes you get so carried away on this train, right? You're like moving at 100 miles an hour, and you're always trying to please. Yeah, you're going to try to explain what I'm trying to get at here.
Well, no, you've explained it, but I'm just going to tell you what I'm receiving this as. You're basically saying it feels great just to be you.
Yeah.
And and to that point, you know, because we all fall into this trap, whether it's, I don't know, going on a date for the first time or meeting people that you haven't met before, job interviews, whatever it is, we all fall into this trap of like, am I good enough? If not, who do I need to be? Like, which personality trait do I need to like elevate and ramp up? Like, is there a little bit of acting, fake it till I make it type stuff going on? But actually, there comes a point in everyone's life, I believe, this is just my belief, and because these things are often like bumper stickers and just strap lines that people chuck around. But being you, and you know, just be you. Yeah. when you're living in the stage of life that I think we all are, me, you, and Sam. And the reason I've roped him in is because I think we all are generally in this phase of life where we're like, it's actually okay to be just me.
And also, but we can all really be ourselves around each other, and that's why we've got this really nice, comfortable little triangle now.
I think that's really powerful. And actually, You and Sam in particular, because you've got really big profiles, the more you show that it's really actually lovely just to be you.
Thank you.
Yeah. That will help a lot of people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't want to speak about Sam too much because I know that, you know, he should have the right to be in the conversation if we're going to talk about him. But I think the shift that I've seen with him is that he's starting to be more him.
Yeah.
And he's relaxing. That's my version of it. That's my interpretation of it.
So yeah, guys, stay posted for some post-mobs banter.
Where I am at now, I have never been more excited to spend time with your family, Sam in particular.
Isn't that gorgeous? I actually have a listener submission that is weirdly about siblings, so I feel like that could be quite relevant for this week. You down for it?
Yep.
She said, I want a closer relationship with my siblings. Hi, Louise and Ryan. I'm keen to have a close relationship with my siblings, as growing up we were taught about the importance of family and having good values. However, I struggle with this as it feels as though my brother and sister constantly take out their anger on me. My main issue is that I naturally get on better with our mum than they do, and they get upset about this despite not making an effort themselves. What advice do you have, and what should I do?
Reminds me of that song from Baz Luhrmann, Everyone Wears Sunscreen.
Oh yeah, you've mentioned this before.
Because it carries such messages, man. It's like a Disney film.
Wait, remind me what it is?
Well, the siblings thing is like, be kind to your siblings because they're your greatest link to your past.
Okay.
So there's so much history that there's too much history between you and your siblings to not have a relationship and keep that alive and keep adding to it.
That's a really nice way to look at it. Like strip away all of the
dynamics of new families and yeah. You have
holding on to grudges and just see it as like part of
this comes back to
of life, and it's all part of like the game of life, just ups and downs, but you need to keep them close.
This again, like this is an example of how I view things so differently now.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you look at your brother or sister, and let's use mine as the example. You look in on the situation, wife, kids, pets, house, jobs. You can look at that and be like, oh, that's their life, that's their family. But what I'm almost like doing is looking like at the layer beneath that, and everything else fades out, and I just see one person, and it's my sibling, my brother. And it's like they are literally bloodline related to me.
Yeah.
There is no one closer in this world.
It's a nice way to look at it. Like remove all of the external factors and just see this little innocent person that shares 100% of the genes. Is it 100%? No, it won't be like, they're not like your twin, but whatever it is.
No, but I like that.
It's a hell of a lot of genes.
I like that. It's remove all the external noise, dynamics of, I don't know, people joining the family or past experiences. Remove everything that surrounds it and just look at this person who is blood relation to you.
Yeah.
And would have kissed you, cuddled you, held your hand if they're older or even younger, shared like so many first moments in your lifetime. And they will always, like typically in most situations, maybe not all, but they'll be the people there to catch you when you fall the hardest and fastest. They'll be there to celebrate when you get your break moment in life. Siblings you're very lucky. You have a very, very lovely relationship with your sibling. Mm-hmm. Maybe you've got some stuff to say on this one.
There are scenarios where people absolutely hate their siblings, and people have had huge family feuds and they fall out and it becomes irreparable. And I'm trying to think like how that happens. And I think that the reason that must happen is because something so significant has gone on in somebody's life, an individual's life, that has taken them so off their path and sent them into such a destructive headspace where it affects everything in their life. And the siblings, the falling out is kind of a byproduct of that. It's like, if someone goes and does something really bad, say worst case scenario, like a sibling literally like has an affair with their sibling's partner or wife or husband or whatever it is, like things do sometimes get really messy. Something has caused that person to go so dark and so deeply off piece that they've done something really bad. And if you can find a way to, you know, hone in on like that moment in time where it went wrong, correct that, strip it back, and then go back to like the core of who you were as people when you were children, then maybe there is an answer for every sibling breakdown. Just saying that has reminded me of, you've said that me and Sam have always had the most wonderful relationship and that I'm very lucky. When we went through all of our heavy trauma, we've not really spoken about this lots in the podcast, and there are some things that are just better left unspoken about until maybe we're 10 years down the line and ready to process them fully. But we were both in such a bad headspace that our entire lives fell apart, including our family dynamic. And you didn't speak to Sam. I didn't really speak to Sam. There were moments where I was having conversations with my therapist saying that I genuinely thought that we would never be a complete family again, and that I would never have a good relationship with him again. So, you know, it's not always been easy, but it is just, I think it is very circumstantial. I can't imagine what it's like for one person to, one child to have a closer relationship with the parent, to be honest, and whether that makes other people feel jealous. My parents are very fortunate, have always been incredibly fair with both me and Sam. Like, we joke about the fact that my dad prefers me and my mum prefers Sam, and there's like a teeny, tiny little Freudian element to that being the truth. But, and it's not the truth, like they would obviously refute that, but these things ebb and flow a little bit. I think at the end of the day, your parents aren't actually going to be around forever. You would like to think that you as siblings would outlive your parents. That's the way that things are supposed to run. The course of life is supposed to run. It's not always the way, and it's devastating when that doesn't happen. But they are, if you can find a way to, so I guess this is what she's actually asking us, right? It's like, what is the advice and what should this person do?
As we move through life and we get older and we have our own families and new responsibilities, it does dilute relationships you have with family members, siblings often. I've experienced it myself. But at some point in that journey, I went deeper with my perspective on this, and I made a commitment to myself and my siblings that I wasn't going to lose sight of it. And I think my piece of advice is, one, try and have a conversation where you actively both try and remove all of that external stuff and get back to, you're my brother or you're my sister. There is no one else closer to me in this universe. Let's just like sit with that realization for a second as adults. Second thing is, like, dig out old baby photos. My brother sat in work the other day. He's sending me these AI video. He's turned a photo of him holding me when I'm brand new, and he's turned it into a video where he's kissing me.
Oh my goodness!
He's 6 years older than me.
That's a bit scary.
He's done it with my other brother here. That's my two older brothers there who have been through some stuff.
Wow.
You see an old photo like that. Forget the AI stuff, but like, if you look at photos properly, and you're like, holy shit, we've shared a lifetime together. There has to come a point in all of our lives where all that external guff and shit that happens in life, ignore it, push it to the side.
If all that fails, just set up a WhatsApp group and hound everybody in your family. Your family have a great WhatsApp group.
I wouldn't say it's great, but we have one.
It's kind of annoying sometimes. Yeah. It's normally just your dad talking to himself. No, I love it. I think it's actually really, I do genuinely think it brings people together. It's nice to, especially if you're living in all different parts of the country, to stay in touch.
I could talk on this for hours, but I won't, because I'm going to go too deep on it. But that's my advice.
Well, guys, I really hope you loved listening to the episode this week. I feel like we've really unlocked some new ways of having conversations there.
I genuinely think that if you just lead a conversation from a place of like, how are you feeling right now, good or bad?
Yeah.
It's just a great place to start. And everything is led with feelings. We all have feelings every moment of every day.
Well, thank you for having a good conversation, leading a good conversation today, Ricey. If you guys are enjoying these kinds of conversations, then remember we bring them out every Wednesday. And if you're looking for something a little bit lighter, shorter, sillier, then you can tap into our AUAs on a Monday, where you can ask us absolutely anything. And we've got some belters for you coming up. Ciao.
Thanks very much. Bye.